My name is Alessandro DeCarli, and I'm one of the co-founders at Acurast. Before we dive into the project, let me give you a little bit of context of how this came to be. My background is a technical background. Somewhere in 2014, I got recruited by Credit Suisse because of my work inside the mobile security space, and then I managed to become a mobile security lead at the bank. I soon realized that this knowledge actually is very valuable also outside of the bank, and created a company called Papers that then started offering these kind of solutions and software developments to other financial institutions in Switzerland, also overseas, national banks, defense companies, you name it. At some point, I had this friend, and I'm sure that some people of you can also relate to this kind of situation, that was constantly nagging me about Bitcoin, telling me you should really take a look at Bitcoin, blah, 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 it's super exciting. And I was like, yeah, okay, fine. Then we started a project which was basically the ability to pay with mobile for a coffee before the coffee would get cold. Okay, this was in 2016, 2015-ish. And of course I got hooked. We then started to shift away from financial institutions and work more onto actually the open source and crypto community with a project called AirGap, which basically was turning a mobile phone into a self-custody solution. It's still around there. Shout out to the developers. It's also Polkadot compatible. And yeah, basically what that allowed me then was to build a network of people that were interested in our services. And one of those services was a DeFi project that reached out to us saying, you know what, we really have all this very amazing system with all smart contracts, all trustless, but one of the biggest issues that we have is all of these contracts actually get controlled by a single input, which is the input from someone observing the price somewhere and bringing them on chain. Isn't there a way to create something that makes this step verifiable? So we went back, took a look at the knowledge that we had, which was in the mobile security space, and we said, okay, let's maybe leverage the hardware security module inside the mobile device to do that. That was about 3 years ago and was the start of Acurast. Because about 1.5 years ago, we then realized, you know what, this is actually way bigger than just the ability to observe data and bring them on-chain. You can actually use this as well to create a decentralized serverless cloud. Now, you may think, okay, I mean, I heard the story before, decentralized cloud, okay, interesting, but most probably this is very challenging because you have a lot of very established players. You have tech giants in the US that have economies of scale. Like, it's impossible for you to undercut them in operating costs. So how can you build a decentralized cloud offering a similar or better service while also be cheaper than them? And the sad truth is you can't, by playing by the same rules. You have to change the rules of the game. And now you understand why I brought all this context about mobile security upon you, because this is basically that missing puzzle piece. When we take a look at mobile devices, they are small technological, wonderful pieces that we just carry around. And besides the advanced security, hardware security modules that they also have another superiority compared to any and all server hardware out there, which is the performance per watt, okay? They excel because of their smaller nanometer technology, excel at things with way less power consumption. Now, here we have an example of a PowerEdge Dell server that you can buy. This is the standard kind of pizza box that you put in your data center. There are more powerful devices than this. There are also less powerful devices than this. But the main point is, if you want to buy this PowerEdge server, it will cost you about $3,000 and will produce about, this CPU mark. There is an online benchmark that is then scoring at 8,227. If we take a comparable phone, which is the Pixel 7a that has a comparable CPU benchmark, so this is just the CPU, you will see that the device itself costs only a fraction of what the server costs. It's a device that has been designed to run 24/7. It's a very resilient device. It's a very powerful device. But where it excels is actually in the running costs, because you have a 50x, and it's not 50%, it's 50x less power consumption and less running costs that you have to cover them. And that ultimately can translate to an offering where people providing this kind of infrastructure have already a positive business case behind it, while people paying for it can just pay 37 times less. And this is all not considering the amazing chips that are as well inside these mobile devices, such as the TPU, which is a chip that is specified or specialized in AI and machine learning, and also very powerful GPU and the hardware security module. Now, the cool thing about the TPU is when you take a look at the comparison CPU to TPU, there is an 83x improvement on the computational power that you can squeeze out of these chips for the specific use case. Now, what does it mean? Well, it means that people started to buy up phones that have a completely intact computing unit, like the RAM works, the CPU works, everything works, but maybe they have a cracked screen. So on the market, these are dirt cheap. This morning I went on to Ricardo, which is this kind of marketplace in Switzerland, and you see a Pixel 7a actually, and this is a device with 8 gigabytes of RAM and 8 cores, actually costs you about $25. And here then you have the ultimate killer use case, right? Because if you really are able then to find someone that is willing to pay 37 times less to host and run their application, which I believe you will find, and then have someone that is paying $25 to bring up these devices and dedicate them to the network, these guys will have an ROI after 2 or 3 months already. So this is kind of the most exciting thing that we just found out once we actually launched the system. And now you may think, okay, fine, I understand there is the computational power that is being dedicated to the system, but what can it be actually used for? And you can actually run pretty much everything that you want also run on a centralized cloud. But one of the use cases where we grew up with, and I told you about before, is definitely as well this Oracle use case, where basically you specify in code the way you want to observe a specific price, and then you let it run through this verifiable compute that is secured by the hardware security module of the device to bring on-chain, on one hand, the price that you were looking for, on the other hand, as well, an attestation that tells you this specific price point was observed while executing that specific code. So now you have a full verifiable compute in there. And these are the two parties of the platform. So on one hand, the developers that pay for this compute, and then on the other hand, the processors. I see that maybe I'm walking over here like this, I'm not covering over there. So what did we do now for the last couple of months? Actually, it has been very, very exciting as well in terms of Polkadot community, because I'm very proud to announce that we received a our OpenGov initiative that Rada mentioned before, where people can apply and propose stuff, got accepted with almost 90% positive rate. And what this actually means is that now all of the Polkadot projects can use this infrastructure. Like, we're working hard so that they will be able to use this for their Oracle use case. And if you are someone that has a spare phone laying around, I kindly ask you to as well onboard as a processor, because it will be you, the users, the processors runners, that will be providing this service ultimately, and will also be paid for it. Okay, so it is a very sustainable business case behind it. And if, on the other hand, you're a developer who requires some oracles, also reach out. We're very happy to make you a reference case of this referendum. Cool. The other thing is we have kind of two, like, it's a chicken-egg problem, right? On one hand, we need to have the compute power there so that the developers can start consuming that compute power. On the other hand, we need the developers that are actually consuming that power. Now, we started with one of the initiatives that turned out to be quite successful, which is this bootstrapping campaign, where basically people that are joining the network as a processor, besides whatever you're receiving as rewards paid by a developer that wants to run an application, will also receive a bribe from the protocol directly of, now in this case, 250 Canary Acu token per month if your device keeps on running during the entire month. And the effect of this was actually quite amazing, because people started buying up like all sorts of phones with cracked screens, sometimes even without screens at all, and started then dedicating them to the network. And yeah, we'll be very happy to see after this presentation even more devices that can then be onboarded. And I know you guys all have a spare phone somewhere, so I count on you on this one. The other side of the equation is, of course, the developer side. Now, the platform has quite a focus on Web3 developers. This means that we are trying to lower the barrier as much as possible for them to come in and start interacting with the platform. It has full support with EVM chains. You can interact with EVM chains, you can read things from EVM chains, and so on and so forth, but not only. Also substrate-based chains and more integrations are actually coming. I mean, what we now tested and started to set up over the last quarter or so was definitely the Aleph0 chain, then also Optimism, Arbitrum Base, and Ethereum, because we already had before the classic Moonbeam and Astar and Kusama and Polkadot. And the idea here is that it should be really as easy as possible for everyone to just start and interact and submit jobs to the Acurast chain. Also, very exciting, and partly reason why we're here, we are collaborating quite a lot with Polimec, and as well have a partnership with them. And I'm very glad that now in the first quarter of this year, there will be as well very exciting news coming out. So stay tuned, and you will then, I'm sure that if you're following Polimec or Acurast, you will definitely not miss that. I'm not spoiling anything at the moment. No, but thank you again to the team for hosting us. We're very, very grateful. Thanks. couple of more slides. Here we have also now an outlook to the future. So we just discussed what has been done so far. And on one hand, we are now launching the ambassador and loyalty program to even speed up more the adoption of this technology. Then there will be the mainnet launch as well planned for this year, and the 2 initiatives to actually grow this chicken and egg ecosystem, and throughout the year integrations with more and more strategic protocols and so on and so forth. If you want to catch us in real life, so for the ones that are now tuning in from remote, because the others will be able to talk to me afterwards, there's a couple of events where we have, on one hand, there's the Mobile World Conference in Barcelona that will take place in February. We have a booth there, so come over and visit us. We also do have tickets, so if you're interested in the region, you can reach out. Then the other one is ETH Denver, where we also have Christian that will be speaking at the event. Christian is also today here with us. Then Sub-Zero, already mentioned by Rada, and the Ethereum Zurich, and then the Scytale Decentralized Lugano event. Good. That's it from my side. I hope this was insightful enough, not boring, and I hope to talk to you afterwards. Thank you so much.